Hi, good evening, everyone. Thanks, Priyanka, for that lovely introduction. I like it. Uh, Sorry for the minor delay that we had because of some technical issues there, but anyways. Coming on to the session, right, I'll be taking you through digital transformation with Fujitsu. So, the flow of the session is I'll be telling you what is the importance of digital, what needs to be done to be digital ready, and how Fujitsu will help you through this journey, right? So, we all have heard a lot of things since afternoon, right, that it's a hyper-connected world, the talk about a lot of proliferation of devices and connected things and enterprises and connected people and whatnot. But have you ever tried to gauge the quantum of this connectivity, as in how do you quantify? I mean, when you say that, you know, we are all hyper-connected, living in a hyper-connected world, what exactly does it mean? Just to give you a context, right, when you talk about hyper-connected social societies or human beings, right? So in 1930s, there was a term which was coined, which was called 6 degrees of separation, which essentially meant that everyone in this world is connected with everyone using 6 links, as in, if I start with friends of friends chain, right? So 2 people cannot be separated by more than 6 friends. Coming to 2016, this term was devised in 1930s. Coming to 2016, what Facebook says, the degree of separation has reduced to 3.5, right? And that too when Facebook has about 25% of the world's population using its platform. So that is the quantum of hyper-connected people. What it means to be hyper-connected things or information or processes, right? Different agencies have given their own different data. For example, you have Gartner's who is saying that by 2020, there would be 30 billion interconnected devices. Juniper Research says there would be 40 billion interconnected, hyper-connected devices. Some other agencies, The Economist or some others says there will be 50 billion interconnected devices. So, whatever be these numbers, one thing is for sure, the quantum is going to be huge, right? People may differ in their numbers and estimations, but one thing is sure, that we are transforming into a hyper-connected society, wherein people, things, information, processes, everything is going to be connected. And this is going to change the world that we live in, the cities that we live in, the cars that we drive, or the homes that we live, for example. So if we look at, you know, the evolution of IT, you would see that 60s, 70s, 80s were all the innovations during that point in time were focused on increasing employee productivity. So all the innovations happened at the employee level. Coming to 90s and 2000s, the innovations were focused on improving the business processes, right? Improving the supply chains, improving the, say, billing or the accountable or receivables processings. What we see now is a user-centric innovation that is happening, or what Fujitsu calls is a human-centric innovation that is happening, right? I'll just give you a couple of examples of what I mean by human-centric innovation. And when I say innovations are happening around human-centric innovations, that means that organizations have also started to change the way they are doing business, right? They have transformed the way they have done business. For example, this is a company called Michelin, right? It makes tires, quite known globally. What it has done over the past 2-3 years, that it is slowly transforming towards a services-based company. So if you see at the recent portfolio of Michelin services, so they have opened up a new division which is Michelin Solutions, and typically what they are doing is they are giving services to large fleet management companies who have, say, 100 or 200 of trucks, and they are managing the fuel efficiency of those vehicles, right? Combined with this, the data as in the way the driver is driving the fleet, and with the feedback of fuel analysts, what they are doing is they are working in the field of fuel savings. So see how they have transformed their business model from a tire company to a company which is giving solutions in saving fuel, which is, you know, the burning problem in the current scenario. I'll give you another example of a company called John Deere, right? We all know this is a company which is into manufacturing agricultural implements and tractors, right? What it has done is, and if you see the estimates by Food and Agricultural Organization, it has clearly told that the amount of food production needs to be increased by 60%. Now, John Deere recognized this challenge, and what it does is, it has those equipments or devices which is attached to its own tractors or other agricultural implements, and they are informing the farmers or their end users when their equipment is going to get down, so that he can take steps for predictive maintenance of his equipments. Not only this, they are combining this data along with the crop use patterns, the rainfall, the kind of soil which is there, and they are giving the feedback to the farmers, as in what crops to grow, where to grow, how to plow, and where to plow. So you see, the company has transformed the business model from a manufacturing setup, a pure play manufacturing setup, to a company which is now giving solutions in terms of solving the food problems of the world. So this whole innovation around human-centric innovation, right? So this is going to change the entire world that we are going to live in. So we have seen that this is an era where data will be huge. We have seen that companies have already started using that data to its, to transform the way they are doing business. But how do we do this, right? As of now, we have identified that there are 3 key pain points which are there with the companies. The first one is which data to be tracked, right? For example, if you have to do an asset management in your company using RFID or using sensors, you should know to which assets you need to track, right? There could be thousands of assets, from a pen to a table. Everything is an asset for your company, but you should know what is the kind of asset that you need to track. Secondly, the data which will be coming from these assets, right, it all would be in different formats. It would be all unstructured data. How do I make use of that data? How do I structure that data in a similar format? The third would, of course, be a huge database infrastructure which would be required to store that kind of a data, because when we are talking about monitoring these devices would be sending signals and data which would be on a regular basis, say 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes kind of a time. You need to have a huge infrastructure set up for those kind of things. The second pain point is, once I have the data, how do I make that data into information? Which is, how do I transform the unstructured data to structured data so that I have insight into my business, right? And once I have data, I have the information, how do I use the data and information with the knowledge that I have currently to make informed business decisions? So for that, I need a separate skill set in terms of data experts and data modeling leaders who should be there to tell you that this is the current business scenario and you have this kind of data in place, and this is how your future business should look like. So all these 3 pain areas Fujitsu can help address in your organizations, and I'll tell you how in the next few slides. Just to give you an example of the different applications of this huge data and how can you use it. Just to take an example of banking industry, right? So a very good use case is the fraud management that we have. Typically, we would be seeing a lot of fraudsters who are fleecing your accounts in festive seasons or during tax filing seasons, right? So these fraudsters, they leave a trail behind, as in and analytics has shown that these fraudsters leave a trail behind. They have a pattern to it, right? They will make small transactions, continuous transactions. They will have, setting up accounts in 1 or 2 main countries, which are some offshore accounts, right? So they leave a pattern. So once we have that data, and once we know the kind of transactions that are happening in your account, the banks can immediately know whether it's a fraudulent transaction or it's a genuine transaction. And why banks have to know it? Because the banks are equally liable to pay damages to the customer in case of any frauds, right? So this is just a one use case. Similarly, for predictive maintenance, right? For example, we were discussing with a customer and they are into manufacturing elevators and escalators. So they have around 800,000 escalators and elevators installed globally. Now their problem is, it's practically, manually, it's impossible for an engineer to go and check each and every installation. They can only do a reactive maintenance. When an elevator or a machine goes down, they can only go and fix it then. So they were looking at solutions wherein you can have these sensors and RFIDs which are placed in those elevators, and they can send that data at constant intervals of time, so that when we see the pattern that the elevator or the escalator is going to get down, preventive maintenance can be carried out, right? And that would reduce a lot of effort which has to go otherwise. Similarly, other solutions, of course, we all know automatic cars are in vogue now. Already some companies in Singapore have already started testing automatic cars, cab hiring services, etc. So how do they do that? So it's a mix of telematics, it's a mix of IoT, and it's a mix of all these RFID and signals, right? So and machine learning, for example. So how do they teach a car to be on automatic mode, right? So what they do is they will feed different scenarios. For example, when there is a customer passing, when there is a passenger or a passerby going in front of you, how do you maneuver the car, or how the car should stop or it should speed up, for example, if there is no traffic. So all these kind of things are fed into the car, which goes into machine learning, and then we get automatic cars. So there was a research which was carried out by Fujitsu, and we got some interesting feedback, right? As in, what is the level between expectation and reality between different level of users, right? For example, a company has IT users, it has business users, it has knowledge users, right? So typically, knowledge workers would be the people who would be making strategies for the company, who would be working on planning, and who would be the decision makers. IT workers are people who are in the IT departments, typically led by the CIOs, no offense to the IT people here. And then you have the business users. So the expectation from each department in terms of what it means to be digital is completely different, right? And that is where Fujitsu can actually come in and help the IT team to meet the expectations of these knowledge workers to be more digital ready. So what is Fujitsu's technology and services vision, right? So we have identified 3 themes here, as we say, people, information, and technology. And then we have identified 8 tracks to work with these 3 themes. I'll just take one from each of these tracks. For example, we have in the people track, right? So when you say digital, that also means that you have the power to take real-time decisions, on-the-fly decisions, right? You should have applications which are easy and intuitive to use, and that is where, for example, SAP has come up with its new user interface, or the Fiori applications or UI5 applications, and Fujitsu can actually help you in getting onto the mobility platform with the help of our mobility COE. In terms of information, when we are talking, right? So how do you make use of this information in terms of, say, security and governance? I'll give you a small example of what Fujitsu has done in Jiangsu province in China. So this province is a very flood-prone area, and the water department in that particular province, so they had this challenge that they needed to devise a strategy, as in to prepare a backup plan or a emergency readiness plan based on the water, the rainfall pattern, the water level in the reservoirs, etc. So the challenge involved getting data acquisition from different reservoirs, getting data from the rainfall patterns, right? All these things, and transmitting it to the nerve centers which were located locally, provincially, and nationally. For example, in case there is an excessive rainfall, right? So immediately an alert needs to be triggered to first the local team within 15 minutes, within 20 minutes to the state level teams, and within 30 minutes to the national level team, so that the disaster relief agencies are ready to handle this kind of deluge that is going to happen. So this is what we mean when we say that information is going to change governance. When it comes to technology, how do you use digital in technology, right? Purely in terms of technology. It can be in a couple of ways. One way could be, for example, reducing your application portfolio, right? Reducing your data footprint, right? You may have, say, n number of applications, third-party applications in your system, and you want to reduce, but the same work can be done with the help of, say, smaller set of applications. And we did it for one of our global customers, wherein we rationalized their application portfolio from 7,000 applications to less than 30 applications. There could be an example of, say, integrated computing, as in different systems are producing data and it is lying in silos, right? But you're not able to make use of that data in one system. What you can do is you can have a business process modeling solution, right? For example, Run My Process, which is a Fujitsu proprietary. You can map your business processes from different third-party applications to Run My Process, and you can actually see how your business processes are running. So how do we at Fujitsu can help you in this journey of digital transformation? So one thing is sure, that this digital transformation, right, it's not an event. You can't say that I need to be digital ready by so-and-so date. It's a journey. And this journey has to take place by taking small steps. And these small steps could be as small as, say, moving from your Microsoft Outlook to a Microsoft 365-degree platform. It could be as simple as that, right? So you have to start somewhere and take this leap of faith. And Fujitsu can help you do that. We have solutions which are proven solutions across the world. And of course, Fujitsu can bring to the table its 95,000 IPs, right, which have been built over a period of almost 80 years throughout its existence. So this is how we are going to help you in de-risking your digital journey. I'll just give you a quick snapshot of our offering portfolio. So how we have compartmentalized our offerings is, we have some vertical solutions and we have some horizontal solutions, right? When we say vertical solutions, we have different solutions for retail, for financial sectors, for transport, for public sector, and for emerging technologies. For example, for manufacturing, we have IoT solutions from GlobeRanger, right? So I'll just tell you quickly about a couple of solutions from GlobeRanger. So we have an asset tracking solution which we call GR Aware, right? So what it does is, typically you will have a lot of assets which are scattered across multiple factory locations within the city, or different locations within the same factory. Some of these could be misplaced assets, right? Some of them could be damaged assets, but you don't have a view as to where are those assets. So how do you actually track all your assets? So this is how, using our IoT solutions, you can actually track your assets sitting in your control room. You have a track history, asset history with you. You know what is the usage history, where is the asset in real time. We have something called retail analytics, what we call as smart analytics in retail, right? How do you choose which customers to target, when to target, right? What is the next best product that can be offered to them? So Fujitsu does an analytics based on 350 psychological factors for the customers, and based on those analytics, it will help you to target your customers with targeted offerings, rather than just giving them some offers which they might not be using. So it's all about real-time offers based on contextual offerings, right? So we can help you in retail analytics as well. When it comes to horizontal solutions, so we can offer some solutions in application transformation. For example, we have transformational AMS, which is a global offering, wherein we help customers run a bimodal IT model. What we mean by bimodal is that customers can actually carry out their projects as well as their regular maintenance side by side. You don't need to have separate downtimes for each of these tracks. We have application modernization offerings, wherein we have legacy modernization programs, and we have identified 12 technologies which could be modernized in a very short span of time. When it comes to enterprise applications, of course, we have Oracle, we have SAP, And we do all kind of consulting services, implementation, application, support services, the infrastructure related to these, whether it's a cloud-based or it's on-premise, right? In terms of information management, we can offer you content management solutions, we can offer you document management solutions, and so on and so forth. But the key message here is that Fujitsu is ready to take you, to handhold you through your digital journey, right? And we have 80 years of existence behind us. We have the power of 95,000 assets behind us. And various speakers from afternoon sessions have given n number of case studies which are relevant to your different scenarios, right? So basically, we are ready to take you to this journey. That's all for my session as of now.